Happy spring. I hope that you're feeling it. I hope you're feeling the light. I hope you're feeling, that sense of wonder, that childlike awe, that renewal, refreshing. This is my favorite feeling of the year. When every cell of my being is just craving that sunshine and craving to see that bud bloom, or go smell every flower and give it a little love pat, and see what's coming out of the ground, what those little leaves are, and like we planted our seeds, they should be sprouting, and it's just exciting. It's exciting seeing all these things come to life, and then it's exciting also coming to life ourselves. And if we really tune into that, we'll feel it. We'll feel that draw to have that wonder, to have that spirit, to have that energy, and that curiosity, and that beautiful sort of innocence that drives us to these things. And we may not know why, but it's there if you listen to it, and I encourage you to follow it. That's my favorite thing. Anyone that knows me or has been out with me, I'm a wanderer. I'll be over there all of a sudden because I saw like this tiny little something coming out of the ground, or I had to go pet a flower, or something like that. Oh, there's a bee, which, do you hear him? There was one just on my toe. It's my favorite noise, the buzzing. So with the equinox, we have equal day and equal night, right? And I talk a little bit about the cycles briefly in the beginning of the chapter, which this chapter is packed full, but it's all really condensed. So I'll try to expand a little bit on a little of what I feel like is important and I didn't really expand on in writing. So when I talk about the cycles and how everything is a mirror or mimics each other, and we have this small scale and we have these large scale, we know small scale how small the cycles get, but we don't know how big they get on a large scale. We probably don't even know on a small scale either. But what I'm going to talk about is the ones that we can see and feel, that we are working with here. So we have the days, we have that, the sun rising and setting, and the moon rising and setting, and then the sun rising again. So we have that heightened energy, the lower energy, and then that heightened energy again. And then with the months, we have, full moon, quarter moon, new moon, 3/4 moon, and then full moon again. So again, that energy cycle we go through, where we're heightened, we're contemplative, we're lowered, then we're heightened again. We go through that. That's the monthly. And then we go through that on a yearly cycle. So here we are in that sort of middle, after we had we'll call the winter solstice the new moon, and then we'll call the spring equinox that quarter moon. So here we are kind of in the middle, ready. We're ready to be full. We're getting there. We're building up our energy from here until the summer solstice. So we go on that on a yearly cycle. We go through that with our lives. We go through that nature, on a smaller scale in some places, larger scales. We go through that with the seasons. Each season has a cycle. And then cosmically, who knows, right, how big it gets. But here we are, and we are ready to jump in, and from here, build that energy, right? And as we build the energy, the days help us with more sunlight and sun exposure and things like that. So one of the things I think that's really important that we might not think about a lot is what we were like when we were children. And I know that we do the exercises, you know, the meditations and the inner child work and inner infant work, inner counsel work, stuff like that. But this is a little bit different. What I'm talking about in this chapter, excuse me, is, you know, just thinking back to childhood simply and remembering what you wanted to be. What did you want to be when you were a kid? And was it influenced by anything, anybody, any gender roles or stereotypes, or you know, family? Was your family like a family of you know, police or doctors or something? So you were, or military, and you were like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up, because, you know, my dad, my grandpa, blah 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 blah. But what did you feel deep down? Like, wipe all of that away. What did you really want to be? What drove you? What made you happy? That's key. What made you happy when you were a child? So that's hard, right? To think about and to remember that sort of sense of excitement. But what got you excited? You know, I had so many things. I wanted to be an archaeologist, and I wanted to be an architect, and maybe I just liked the letter A and these long words, but I don't think so, you know, because I did go to school for anthropology, and I actually tried to start with like you know, design and doing the archaeology or the architect stuff, and I still love to do that, but you know, for my own self, like right now I'm designing and rebuilding a trailer, and I love to build things, and I think it's a more hands-on thing for me than just like drawing it out. But then again, I love to draw and paint and, you know, dig in the dirt and find bones and collect artifacts and rocks and things like that. So and that's what I do pretty much. So what did you do? What did you do when you were little, and what made you happy? I want you to really go back to that. Maybe do it again. You know, if it was building these are my examples, because I, you know, building a stick bridge across the little creek, or reading a book under a tree, or, you know, planting a little garden for rabbit friends. You know, this is different than our activities, but, you know, they like Alyssum or something, like, and attract rabbits or whatever you liked, which you can listen without Leo panting. The bees. Oh, I love bees. So I used to plant a garden for rabbits and then have the bees, and no, don't chase the bees. And of course, you know, my dogs and cats and all these animals. And that was really a passion when I was little, and it continues to be. So I encourage you to dig deep, and this spring, really go back to it. Try it out. See how it feels. Is this something that lights you up inside, or is this something that was maybe encouraged or suggested by others? And are you living it? Are you living it? What do you do? What do you want to do? What's stopping you? What's holding you back? Oh my gosh, this chapter could be so heavy, but it's not. It's light. It's about light. It's about us being light beings. It's about this quantum biology, right, that I explained in here, where our DNA emits light-based biophotons. And that's sort of, they're seeing that our DNA actually looks like a crystal structure. And if I get really excited about this, I think it's just fascinating. And it's moving, it's like liquid, right? It's like this crystalline liquid, and it's moving, and then it's flowing, emitting these biophotons out, and they're connecting with other peoples and things and plants and animals and DNA everywhere. And it's this huge communication web or board or whatever you want to call it. And you know, if you want to compare it to something, we know that like aspen trees have that right underneath, and that's how, like, it's all one big communication. It's all one plant. And we have those mycelium networks underground. We have root networks that connect plants, and that's how they communicate underground. Well, why wouldn't we have that as people? You know, and why wouldn't it be light? Like, that's just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I'm getting a little excited. But that's, you know, one of my favorite things is like light, sunshine, which is something that I'm going to talk about in a contemplating video. So look out for that. Like, why light, why darkness, all these things right now in this time. So that's coming up. But yeah, so we're talking about evolving, recognizing that we can connect with each other. We are connected. Not that we can, but we are. And that we can communicate, and we can send these signals, and not just on electromagnetic scale, but on a DNA light-based photon scale. So that's pretty amazing. So everything is connected. And we know this. We already know this, right? We don't need these big fancy scientific words and scientists to tell us this. We know it, we feel it. But for our brains, what we can understand, I think, is why we have science, so that, you know, we understand. We're curious. We want reasoning. We want to know things. But like I always say, science can only claim what it can name, right? Like, so if we haven't discovered it, if science doesn't have a name for it, it doesn't exist, or we don't know about it. Okay, so for activities, you know, we have our spring equinox ritual, which you can do. You read through some examples, do what feels good to you, even if it's, you know, something completely not on here. Whatever you want to do for your spring ritual. It doesn't have to be on the equinox or the days surrounding it. It can be anytime from now until, you know, the summer solstice. Just a spring ritual, just to welcome it in, and you know, also recognize it within your being. I feel like when we do these rituals, they're not for like you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Well, I do, but I can't say it. But they're not for like purposes of summoning or whatever. It's for ourselves, and to recognize what's going on with the world and the seasons and everything around us. Because when we do something physically, it helps us, our body, you know, we move our body, we do these things, we pick the flowers, we burn the smudge, we do these things. So that kind of tells our body, and then tells our brain, and then like sends it out there that this is spring. So that's why we're doing these. So, and why we do a lot of the rituals. It's to just kind of bring it within and really recognize it, really take that time to acknowledge what's going on. So I encourage you to do that whenever. I'll put mine at the end, a little video or whatever, I don't know. You know, our planted seeds, just, this is fun. So yeah, read through that and love on your plants. And the one that I want to talk about is the wild friends, because that one I think is really important for this relearning, rewilding process. And, you know, the wild plants, like, they're so different than the ones that we have in our garden and that we plant ourselves, or that we see in a planter box on the street. They're growing in this natural place for a reason. Each one looks a little bit different, and they've endured, you know, they're here. They've endured so many things: droughts, floods, freezes, heat, or whatever. And so it's important to get connected with them and understand what they're doing, why they're here, and see if you can connect with them. See if they have something to tell you. See what their personality is like. I don't want to, like, you know, give them too many human characteristics, but you know, everything has a personality to an extent, right? They have a wall, a barrier, something that needs to be broken through to have that communication. So see if they respond to you, and see if it takes time. So, you know, go back to the same plant and sit with it and really breathe and open yourself up. Let yourself be available to them and know that it's safe. And see whose trust you gain from that. So, yeah, that's it's spring, and I am just so happy. So, you know, I'm a spring chicken. Born springy, first day of spring, here I come. So yeah, I love it. I love everything about it. Go with childlike wonder and awe into the world.